Today, on episode 111 of Rail Talk, it is Breeders' Cup week. So we are previewing all the cards, all the races, up and down, giving you best bets, long shots you might want to take a look at, a little inside info maybe on a couple of horses, and just looking forward to getting out there and enjoying our championship event. I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at West Point Thoroughbreds. And John, it's a tradition. We hit a major milestone over the past weekend. So, Si's here.
Yay!
Si's here. Every time that we crack a boundary or a milestone in this here business, and we're at 5 million views on our YouTube page.
Wow.
5 million total views. Wow. Can't do it without you and the team, and of course our viewers and our listeners. Thank you so much for checking us out. And I remembered at the top of the show this time to say subscribe. Please subscribe to the show. Appreciate you checking us out. If you like us, hit that subscribe button. We're everywhere you get your pods. There we go. John.
Even if you don't like us, subscribe anyway, just so you can tell us what idiots we are.
I hate subscribe.
You won't be the first one to tell us we're idiots. You won't even be the first one in our family saying that we're idiots. Jonathan Green, general manager of DJ Stable. Joe, it actually hit me last night during the post position draw that we're going to run in the Distaff. We're running in the Breeders' Cup this year, and you have like a couple of horses running in Breeders' Cup races as well. It is going to be a family affair out in Cali.
Let's start the show. The opinions expressed on Rail Talk are those of hosts Joe Bianca and John Green and do not reflect those of anybody we work with or work for. Rail Talk is sponsored by the Green Group, the #1 accounting firm in the horse business. No other CPA firm knows the horse industry like they do. Len and DJ Stable own over 200 horses, have won over 2,600 races. And you know how I know that? Well, because I say it every week. But also I know that because of a very, very nice article in the Pollock Report as John holds up the hat. Thank you, Natalie Voss. Great piece on John and Len and the Green Group and DJ Stable, obviously on the eve of them running their homebred Nitrogen in the Breeders' Cup Distaff this Saturday. But back to the business sector, the Green Group side, as always, is a special offer for listeners of Rail Talk. I know several of you have taken advantage of this already. Don't get left behind for your 2025 taxes. Complimentary, confidential, half-hour consultation. If you call Len up at, what's that number, Michael Agresta?
73263450100. Green Group.
I was doing the Harlem Shake, but John's voguing. Like we never have it together.
We never listen to the same ad.
Yeah. It's hard to come up with new dances every single week for this.
You can't see right now, but I'm doing river dance.
So many things you can't see underneath John's desk. But back to the matter at hand. Call Len up at that number. Go to greenco.com. He's helped scores of people across the industry, help save them money and reduce their tax burden. You don't have to take it from me. Listen to friend of the show, Randy Biles, who I randomly saw at Laurel Park a couple of weeks ago. Randy was there, and the horse won the race that he had consigned. Randy's got a great consignment every year at the 2-year-old sales. Good dude, and that's why I'm so glad that he and Len are partners in this here tax thing. Randy, tell us all about what Len did for y'all.
It started a long time ago, probably 10 years ago. We needed some real help, both my partner and I, and we called Len, and he made us feel very comfortable. And we have been with Len for 10 years. He knows the horse business. He knows the game. He makes us feel super, super comfortable about the ins and outs of what we're trying to do. And so it's a good marriage between two country boys that don't know much about the taxes and a really smart guy. And plus, he's in the horse business. So it makes us feel that more comfortable.
Thank you, Randy, and shout out to Len and the Green Group. We're so excited for everybody in the Green family and the orbit of the Green family, in which I count myself, for Nitrogen this Saturday and the Distaff. Best of luck at the Breeders' Cup to some of our favorite folks. So the weekend is upon us. The 42nd Breeders' Cup World Championships will be contested this Friday and Saturday, October 31st and November 1st. hope you can tear yourself away from your trick-or-treating or your football watching to bet a couple of dollars and watch our championship event. It's a typically fabulous card. We're crazy excited at West Point to have 3 runners on Friday. We have Liberation on the undercard in the Golden State Juvenile Fillies. Then we have Intricate Spirit in the Juvie Turf Sprint, and then Super Corredora in the Juvenile Fillies. They all drew well. Super Corredora especially, like drawing the 8-hole in that kind of race and being able to see what the horses inside of you are doing before you commit to going to the lead or taking back, especially for a lightly raced filly. I was thrilled to draw the 8. I mean, Intricate Spirit drew well too, but that's like the Juvie Turf Sprint and the Turf Sprint are all about the break.
Right.
If you break sharp, you got a shot. If you don't, you don't. So it's kind of, the post position matters. Like, I'd rather be in the 6th than the 12 hole, but the most important thing is that he gets out of the gate. So looking forward to having 2 big shots in Breeders' Cup races. Like, I'm blessed to do what I do, and so are you, John. And we'll talk about the kind of the rest of the races. But on that note, just tell us about being in the distaff with nitrogen. Like, that's a huge deal.
It is, and I actually, like I said before, it was a little bit of a come to Jesus moment, and I don't mean that in a religious way. So please, rabbis, don't come descending down on our podcast. You can subscribe, but don't come crashing down on me. It's a term.
Talk about rabbis. Now, you really have nobody wants this on the break.
I do. I just finished it anyway. I won't tell you how it ends. Oh no. Anyway, it is a absolute exciting day for us heading into the distaff. And Joe, we've been very fortunate to run horses in Breeders' Cup for 7 consecutive years. But what very few people know is that all of those years, we only ran on Future Stars Friday. This is the first time we've graduated to Superstars Saturday, as I call it. Patent pending, trademark.
Many people are saying.
Many people are saying
it's Superstar Saturday.
I don't know. They're in China, but many people are saying that it's anyway. How we digress so quickly off of the beaten path of the importance of these races. I actually texted our friend of the show, Brittany Urton, right before the draw, and because she said, where do you want to be? And I said, honestly, the fact that we're in the starting gate is huge, but if I had to pick anywhere but the 1.
Right.
And of course, number 1, nitrogen. And you go, But Joe, I will say this. Normally, I'd be like, crap, we're going to be stuck down on the rail. Everyone's going to come sliding across, and we're going to be, screwed and have to hope that we can get get through some traffic. But I'll tell you that in that race, in the distaff, and I know we're jumping ahead, but you asked me about a Saturday race. In that race in particular, there's so much speed on the far outside, like post 8, post 10, post 11. And I think that they really have to work to get over to the rail. So I think that the fact that we're going to have the shortest distance, if you go to your 4th grade geometry, the shortest distance around that racetrack is going to be, clipped to the rail. So in that sense, we're going to have less traffic, less distance, I should say, but more traffic. So it's, we'll see how it plays out. But again, just to be one of the, dozen horses that are going to be in the gate is huge, especially as a homebred. And with some of the horses that defected out of that race, either through injury or just because they didn't think that they could get another race out of their horses before the end of the year, we're second choice. And I think, deservedly so. I mean, you're the handicapping guy. What do you think about the race?
I think it's pretty wide open on paper, honestly. I think there's nobody. Seismic Beauty is the horse to beat, but like you said, there's a bunch of other speed to her outside.
Right.
I think she's obviously super fast, but I think this is a tougher field in that Copion's a very nice horse, but I don't think she ultimately wants to go 2 turns.
Right.
So I think, I think a real 2-turn horse might have reeled her in last time. Listen, there's never really very little to knock. She got a 110 buyer. She's the horse to beat, but I don't know. She's just had a couple of these races where she's just gotten loose, and part of it is her speed, but part of it is I don't know who's really behind her trying to reel her in.
Right.
But she's the horse to beat. I think you're right that the rail is not that much of a hindrance as long as you get kind of that speed to separate.
Right.
You know, because you don't want to get into a position where suddenly there isn't a ton of speed and then you send and then maybe you get pinched. Like you kind of either got to go or take back from the rail. And I think you're right that a lot of speed will materialize. Darth Vader supposedly had a huge work the other day. And, you know, I kind of sold her short a little bit, I think, in the personal ends in, just because I didn't think Torpedo Anna was the same horse she was last year. But Darth Vader ran a legitimately huge race that day. Clearly the best race. Clearly the best race she's ever run. So, and so she's kind of getting good at the right time, which is what you look for in the distaff. I don't know. Those to me are the main three is you guys, Seismic Beauty, and Darth Vader. Is there anybody else that really worries you? Kliko's getting good, but I don't know. This is a big step up for her.
Yeah, I think if the real Scottish lassie will please stand up, she's a legitimate filly also. Another 3-year-old that's trying to take on the older horses. She's run 3 absolutely fabulous races and 4 meh kind of races in her career. So you don't really know which one is going to show up. I thought she put in a real stinker in the Cotillion last time as the even money favorite. And you know, rightfully so, had a legitimate reason to bounce off a 99 buyer number, a career best. But I think that given the time and given the opportunity, you know, between starts, that she's a filly that I think is going to be sneaky. And at 12-1, I would definitely play her. You know, I try to, when I look at races, I try to analyze the favorite and see if there's any holes in their resume or what we can do to kind of beat, or are there horses in the race that will help, you know, exacerbate their liabilities. And the one thing I'll say about Seismic Beauty, you know, she ran a 95, 104, and 110 buyer her last 3 starts, all very, very impressive. But you know what, Joe? She has not passed a horse, and she has not been pressed. And I think that there's enough speed in the race where if she is pressed, that's gonna see whether or not she's got the will to be the champion. And she might, because she's certainly talented enough. But there's 3 or 4 other horses, I think, on the outside of her that are going to not give her a blow for the first half of the race that she likes to have. You know, and that's the only thing that I would say. I thought it was interesting. You know, we talked to Andrew Stewart later on about the 2 imports that are coming in. So I don't want to give that secret away yet, but he had some interesting things to say about them as well. But Darth Vader, the only thing I'll say is that, you know, I was impressed with the way that she ran down and fought, you know, Torpedo Anna. And I was taking a lot of stock out of that race until we watched Torpedo Anna run a couple more times and just said, all right, it just wasn't quite as impressive. The other thing is, Joe, from an outside post, Darth Vader, has run an outside post 5 times. She has, in her illustrious career, 4 fourths and a 5th from the outside post. So in 5 starts from the outside, she has not hit the board. It's something. It's something. It's not necessarily, you know, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it, but it's something if you're looking for a reason not to bet her or to say, hey, is that 12 hole really going to bother her? I think it might. But she's a legitimate horse nonetheless. I'm picking nits is what I'm doing because I'm just trying to figure out how we could possibly win the race. But that might be something I put stock in.
Yeah, no, you'd rather be in the 1 than the 12, I think, in this case. Just going through some of the other Friday races before we move to Saturday. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking to Andrew Stewart a little bit later about the Euros in the Juvenile Turf, but I think that's a pretty wide open race. I think Miguel Clement's got a big shot with Bodas. I think he's got a big shot with Intricate Spirit with us. I think Miguel could have a big first Breeders' Cup day. Mm-hmm. I think what's interesting here is the 10 Ardisia has run 11 times this year.
Yeah.
The 2-year-old has run 11 times and did not poof and disintegrate into dust. So I'm kind of root for that kind of horse, you know, just to show that, you know, you can run often and still like be sound and be good.
Right.
I think outfielder is pretty interesting. I don't think there's a ton of speed in here. I think it's basically the 2, 3, and the 13 are the only horses that have that kind of early speed. So I think that I would use any or all of them, you know, in case they're able to back this pace down, and especially a Del Mar turf course, short stretch, like very fast playing turf course. I kind of look towards the speed horses in the Juvie turf. There's not a ton to say about the the juvenile, other than it's kind of cool that the two major contenders drew side by side.
next to
I always
each other,
love when that happens.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you got Brant in the 7 hole and Ted Noffey in the 8 hole. It's gonna be interesting to see where the odds land, like, because Ted Noffey's 4-5 morning line, Brant's 5-2. I gotta think they're closer than that. Like with all the Bob Baffert money that comes in, especially in California, he does have the 101 buyer in his debut.
Yeah. Yep.
I think they'll probably be more like 6-5 to 9-5. And if that's the case, I'm all over Ted Noffey, because I just don't like Brant stretching out in this spot. He obviously is mega talented.
Right.
I don't love his action, the way he travels, like the paddling front left thing. Like, I know some horses can run through it, like Vacoma, and still be superstars, but I don't like taking horses like that at short prices, stretching out and hoping that they can keep their speed going. And Ted Noffey's just been so impressive, I think, against better horses. Blackout time, slightly interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe the American Pharoah winner can get a piece, but I don't know, John. To me, Friday looks like relatively chalky.
It looks very chalky.
Except for the Juvie Turf, I think could give you a price. The Turf Sprint, I think, probably 5 or 6 horses legitimately can win. And I like Super Corredora. I'm biased in the juvenile fillies. I like her at a price, but otherwise, I don't know. It was hard for me to find a lot of really good price ideas on Friday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's just not enough of a story to tell. Save that one horse that you mentioned that's run double digits. Most of these horses are going to be entering a race for the 3rd or 4th time in their career. So there's not a lot to go on. It's a little bit more difficult, and that does lead people in all 2-year-old races to kind of go with a horse either that they've heard about, that's training lights out, or one that they've seen run and it ran its eyeballs out and ran a huge number. As we're doing this, Joe, Civil Liberty announced the owner and trainer of Civil Liberty announced that they are not running; they are scratching. So now that field is down to 7 horses to run for $2 million and, in essence, the championship. I mean, whoever wins that race is going to be named Eclipse winner. So now it's down to just a handful, as it were. But yeah, Brant, Ted Noffey. I always have to stop and say, because I'm so used to saying Ned Toffee, it's a little bit of a weird thing. And Blackout Time, I will give a lot of credit to, because when he went off at like 3-2 in the Breeders' Futurity, I was saying to myself, the horse won impressively at Ellis and Big Deal, and it didn't really run a huge number. He ran a very big race, big race,
huge.
And now is going to be again on the inside of Ted Noffey again, and is a horse that I think should be considered. But yeah, the 2-year-old races this year, I think primarily because personally I'm not in any of them. I haven't really been following, what's been going. Usually, like, I'm following the 2-year-old filly turf, division overseas and here in North America. Like every morning, that's what I look at. And because we didn't have anything worthwhile from a very selfish standpoint, I didn't really do a lot of work on those races. But I'm really excited for Intricate Spirit. I really hope that the horse, runs and runs up to its level. Those 5 furlong sprint race, like you said, it is pretty much, decided after the first quarter of the race where it is. And it doesn't mean that you're in front at the quarter mile, Paul. It just means that if you have a clear path, because everyone's scrambling out of the gate, to get a good spot. Any thoughts on the filly in that race, Lenny Lou?
Yeah, I mean, she's got a big shot. Like, I love that she shipped to Ascot and ran 3rd in the Queen Mary, beat 20 horses in that race.
Yep.
I think she's got a huge shot. Supposedly she's training monstrous too.
Right.
And I think this is like, you'll have stories like that $23,000 OBS winter graduate by Leinster. And just, kind of maxing out her ability. So yeah, I think she's got a big shot. True Love is the favorite. She's 7-2, like lukewarm favorite. I understand she won the Sheafley Park Stakes last time out, but I don't know if you watch that race, like she seems much less like a 5 furlong horse than Havana Anna, who ran 2nd. Like True Love is a big filly, and she just kind of wore Havana Diana down in the last eighth of a mile. I like the 8 to turn the tables on the 9 in this race. I think just a tiny bit short for True Love, even though she did win the Queen Mary. The horse that really worries me the most, at least of the U.S. horses, is Cy-Fair. Cy-Fair in that Woodbine race. This was one of our epic performances of the week. Or no, this was this is epic performance of the week.
Yeah.
Earlier in the summer.
It was not a citation.
Yeah, but still, nevertheless, like she was incredibly impressive in that race at Woodbine. Like slow pace, back to last, and just completely inhaled them
against the boys.
Yeah, against the boys, and like shows when that late kick is going to be really, really important. I don't think you're going to be able to go wire to wire in this race.
Right.
So I think you have to be able to sit off a little bit. That's where we were happy with Intricate Spirit and the Futurity. Like it doesn't really look like it from the running line, but he was dueling early and then was able to back out and stalk and then come and win. Like because that's going to come in handy. I think in the turf sprint. I wouldn't want him on the lead, but now he showed me he can like sit, a little bit off the pace and make one run. So we're really excited. The horse, sky's the limit, and he's beautiful. He's a gorgeous horse if you ever seen him. Yeah, definitely one of the best looking horses on the grounds. He's a gorilla, as my guy Tom Bellhouse calls him. So we're super excited. We're going to take a quick break. We'll talk about Saturday's races, including some big news potentially about the classic favorite. Real Talk is sponsored by TaylorMade. Shout out to the team at TaylorMade. They're the ones that are going to be spearheading the strategic reduction of DJ Stable. And I mean, that says it all. Like Len and John are one of the top owners in the game. The fact that they would trust these prized bloodstock, these prized athletes to TaylorMade tells you all about the experience, the knowledge, and just the benefit, the marketing and the preparation benefit that they provide for every single horse that they bring to the auction. And some racing news as well. The Medallion Racing's got several in the Breeders' Cup over the weekend, some live shots. So best of luck to the Taylor team. As we've said before, they do so many different things well across this business. It truly is incredibly impressive. We're so appreciative of their partnership with us. So best of luck this weekend, except when you're racing against us. And if we don't win, we hope that you win. We've got to put that caveat out there, legally speaking. But shout out to the team at TaylorMade. You guys are the best in the business. Good luck on the racetrack and good luck at the sale, John and the Taylor team.
Thank you. Yeah, like you said, we have Vixen coming up, and then Ready to Jam, who just won a stake race, the Autumn Days at Belmont at Aqueduct last weekend. And then Joe, I don't know if you realize, but we own the half sister to Rattle and Roll, who just ran second in the Haggard Fayette at Keeneland over the weekend. And she is in fall to Mage. So, a good cross-pollination of a lot of the people that support us. But there's going to be 33 different fillies and mares in the reduction sale, spearheaded by TaylorMade. And we're looking forward to working with them and hopefully kicking off a great fourth quarter of the year in the sales department.
All right, so for once, we had some breaking news come out before the show was recorded. Thank you, journalism gods. For once, it actually worked out. Sovereignty had a spiked fever earlier this morning, recording this on Tuesday evening, and apparently he came out of his work with a little bit of a temp. They're treating him. Supposedly the temp is down to normal. Bill Mott said he's eating up, which is good, but he also said that if the temperature goes back up, quote, it's over. Right. And they're not going to run in the Classic. And this is an incredibly important race for him, I think, because of how deep the 3-year-old division is this year. Like 99% of the time, his resume gets you the championship. It just does. And it probably still will. But if he doesn't run and then journalism wins the Classic or even runs second, then you got a little debate on your hands. So we hope he can run. Right. And I just think that, and this is, to me, at the morning line, he was the biggest underlay of the entire weekend.
Really?
And at 6-5 in that renewal of the Classic, and many people are saying, but in this case, seriously, many people are saying, including me, not just me, that this is one of the best Classic fields ever assembled. Like Sierra Leone is 8-1.
Yeah.
Journalism is 10-1. I don't think so. I think those horses are going to take a lot more money than that. I think Sovereignty, if he runs, will probably land like 9-5, 2-1, something in that range, 6-5, John.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know he's been crazy impressive. He's won all the big races, but this is a deep group.
No, Joe, I think that, like, other than contrary thinking, that wascally wabbit, you can't make it. I mean, you would say there's no throwouts in the race. We can go through it kind of line item by line item, but even Nevada Beach, who is 20-1 in the race, all he's done is win 3 out of 4, finish second in his, in another race. And he won a grade 1 against older horses last time out in California, doesn't have to ship. So, I mean, is he a horse that I would say put your mortgage on? No. Is he a horse that I would like put in a 3-horse exacta box? Probably not either. But I think you can make a case that maybe he deserves to be in there. I certainly think that he deserves to be in there more than contrary thinking. And, there is this ongoing debate now on the Twitter sphere about whether or not they should allow the horse to even run. Listen, if you got $150,000 and you want to go ahead and put it in entry fees for your horse to run, theoretically, if there's not a full field, you can run. I mean, they have the right to say, we're not going to accept this entry, but would you really do that to Peter Brandt and Chad Brown at this stage of the game? I don't think you would say you can't do that, especially because probably the Coolmore guys are also pushing for that horse to be in there to set it up for your favorite horse, Joe, Sierra Leone.
I mean, I thought he was a completely tripped out Classic winner last year, but I'd be crazy to say he couldn't win this race, especially with the rabbit in it. Antiquarian is very, very interesting. A horse who like his sire, Preservationist, just keeps getting better and better. And that's like that arch line. Those horses just get better as they get older. Forever Young, like, he runs the race he ran in the Saudi Cup. Like, you could argue he's the horse to beat.
I love him in this race. I love him in this race.
I mean, he's done it over here. Like, he ran a huge third last year. Like, Fierceness, I think with reason got most of the attention with the race he ran in the Classic with the pace. But Forever Young was right there. He was a length and a half off of that sizzling pace, and he stuck it out and was in there for third. So, I mean, this is just whoever wins this race is going to be a deserving older male champion. And like most of the time, it doesn't come down to this race. No. And sometimes when it does, it's like, oh God, it's because everybody sucks and nobody's actually stringing any big races together. This time it's because so many horses have a good case.
Right.
And this is where the dust will settle.
Yep. And I think that's going to be nice also, Joe, is I'm predicting that regardless of how this race turns out, a lot of them are going to come back for the Pegasus in January before they go off and stop racing and go on to the breeding shed. I know from hearing rumors and innuendos that a lot of these horses that are going to be standing stud next year have in their contract that they are allowed to run in the Pegasus, and that there's a kicker schedule if they do win the Pegasus. So there's a lot of farms. Farms have kind of changed their tune on wanting horses to come in the day after the Breeders' Cup so they can go show off and start selling seasons. Now it's almost expected that they're going to run in the Pegasus, for the big money and then retire at that point. So I'm going to be curious to see. This might be round 1 of 2. Coming in that we're going to see the second half in January. But, I personally, again, I'm not the handicapper of the two of us. I'm not the handicapper of a lot of people. But for me, I really like Baeza. I think he's going in the right direction. I really like Forever Young. Sovereignty, we'll see with his temperature, how everything turns out. But Mindframe, I think, is a really interesting horse also for a lot of reasons, but none more so than the fact that, Larry Johnson, who is the breeder of the horse, passed away earlier in the year. And that the racing gods love to honor and recognize people once they've passed, stallions, mares, and people in the industry. And it's just got that feel to it where everyone's looking inside, talking about fierceness. Everyone's looking at the 3-year-olds and on the champion and, have they been going nip and tuck against each other. And this is going to, kind of sort out all the 3-year-olds for the championship. And then you got Mindframe that not a lot of people are talking about right now. And all he's done is won 7 of 8 races. And, oh, by the way, the one race he didn't win, he lost his rider, shortly after coming out of the gate. I really feel like that he's a horse that is, going to be of great interest in this race. And also once he stands stud, at Claiborne Farm soon after. I'm assuming soon after the Pegasus.
He's been first or second 7 out of 8. He's got 5 wins.
What did I say?
You said 7 out of 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your first or second 7 out of 8. Yeah.
Very, very good resume either way. To me, he's hit, whether or not I use him, at least within the race, it's going to be entirely price dependent, because I think he could be anywhere from 5 to 1 to 15 to 1. And that's just, if he's 5 to 1, I'm not that interested. Like, cause I don't think he's at that level, that like top tier. He's very close. So if he's like 12 to 1 or so, then I'm more interested, because, if he had won the Jockey Club Gold Cup, hadn't gotten knocked off the horse, then you're looking at a horse who's going to be like 7 to 2 in here. So you draw a line through that. If you get double digits, then I'd be more interested. I think Fierceness, to me, he ran the most impressive race of all of the older male horses this year in the Pacific Classic. I was there. Right. We were in the race with Indispensable, and the way he veered in early on in that race, I was like, what I said to myself in my head, because we were a long shot, but what I said to myself in my head, I was like, okay, well, that's one less favorite we have to beat. Because, how often do you see horses take left turns in that race and then make an early move to the lead like he did? Right. He took the lead, like going into the far turn and just never stopped, even though journalism was coming like with a pretty good run after him. Yep. He drew well. I think the lesson has been learned a little bit from last year, where they had to be aggressive and they just got caught up a little too quick of a pace. I think he's able to sit in here. I don't think the difference should be 4 to 1 and 6 to 5 between him and Sovereignty. And I do hope Sovereignty runs, not just because I want to bet against him, but because he's had a phenomenal year and he deserves that chance to officially stamp his championship in the Classic. So I really, really hope that he gets to run. But this is like it's a murderer's row, honestly, really relative to like the horse, the older handicap, because I know somebody's going to chime in and be like, well, Dr. Fager won 90 races. And it's like, well, relative to today's horses, this is as good as it gets for a Breeders' Cup Classic. So we should enjoy it. John, anything else, unless, you welcome to jump on that as well. But anything else from the rest of the Saturday card other than the distaff that catches your eye?
Yeah, I thought the mile came up an interesting race also. I think the race goes through Bob Baffert. I think that between Goal Oriented and Nisos, although there was a video of Nisos, breezing this morning, and people were all over about the fact, is he sore? Is he ready for this race? Just don't worry about it. He'll be ready come game day. But I thought those two are interesting. Mystic Dan in that race, I think, is interesting. Citizen Bowl, last year's 2-year-old champ, is in that race. Chancellor McPatrick, also a great horse that's going to be, retired at the end of the year. And then I thought, Joe, that the horse Touch of Destiny, the horse coming in from Uruguay, I thought was really interesting, because he's an 6-for-6 undefeated midshipman who is one of the most underrated, dollar for dollar, pound for pound best horses, stallions in the country here in the States. And, they're asking the horse to go from Uruguay to the United States. That's difficult. From 7/8 to a mile, to going a mile to going a mile against these kind of sprinters, that have this kind of speed, I should say, is a big deal. And oh, by the way, he's 9 of 10 also in this race. So things are really stacked up against him. I'm going to be curious on the eye test to see Touch of Destiny and see what he looks like. And then, oh, by the way, White Barrio, where all he's done is won 10 of 24 and $7 million to his name as well. So another, I think, top to bottom, pretty stacked field. Not like the Classic, don't get me wrong, but this turned out to be a really good mile race as well, in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm totally against Nisos in there at 8 to 5. He's just like, he had too many starts and stops for me this summer after the San Diego. Right. Just coming in off of only that race since July. I just, at 8 to 5, I'll try to beat him. 2 other races I have to mention. Yeah. And one is another one that we're participating in the Philly and Mare Sprint. Vahva is in there. She's been just a queen for West Point and for Belladonna and all the partners. Over $2 million earned from a $280,000 Keeneland September buy. She's won 7 times. She's been in the money 15 out of 19 times in her career. her form has not been great this year. Just, ever since like the Ballerina last year when she was third as the favorite, she didn't do any running in this race last year. It worries me a little bit that it's at the same track. Looked like she was getting it together when she won the Chicago earlier over the summer, but just hasn't really built on that. Yeah. Nevertheless, she has had an awesome career and she's selling in November. So it'd be great to see her go out on a winning note, or at least to like hit the board, because I think she's deserving of at least a placing in a race like this. And we'll be rooting our tails off for her. And then I also wanted to talk about the sprint, which I think came up very, very strong. This is the favorite in this race is a horse that I had as epic performance of the week about a month ago, Ben Tornado, valiant Minister, Florida bred, who is coming off the huge run in the Louisville Thoroughbred Society at Churchill, 108 buyer. And to me, he's the horse to beat. He's drawn outside. It's interesting. I think it looks like all the speed of the speed is going to be outside. Like in Ben Tornado, straight no chaser, last year's winner is back in this time. And then there's a shipper from Canterbury, Madhouse, who's probably going to be part of the pace as well. There's not a ton of speed in this race. There's a couple horses that interest me. Copion, I think, is very interesting at the rail. She's not going to be a huge price, but Richard Mandela is just one of the best Breeders' Cup trainers there is. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is a horse who's always wanted to go one turn, and her better races have been one turn. Can't blame him for taking a shot in the Clement Hirsch last time, but I thought she just flattened out a little bit late in that race. This is her ball game. She's drawn at the rail. Mike Smith gets aboard, one of the best big money riders in the history of horse racing. So I like her a lot. And then the other Mandela horse I'm very interested in, and that's Big City Lights. The 5 was 15-1 morning line. This is a horse that, and a lot of times I look for intent with trainers and the spots that they pick and when and potentially why. This is a horse that is a Calbred monster, 7 for 13 lifetime, won his last 2 races in Calbred stakes by a combined 16 1/4 lengths. There are plenty of Calbred races for Richard Mandela to run in now in December, over their winter at Santa Anita. This is a horse who has been very, very talented, but has had a lot of spaced out campaigns. So I think he's saying, listen, this horse is training his eyeballs out. You see the 58 flat half-mile bullet earlier this week at Santa Anita. He's saying, like, listen, this is a horse that we're going to get 1 or 2 races out of before he's going to have to go to the shelf. This is as good as he's ever been as a 6-year-old. We're taking a crack in the big race, and he's a versatile horse. Big City Lights is a very, very interesting long shot for me on Saturday, John. Real Talk is sponsored by Fasig-Tipton. Nothing. I mean, Fasig-Tipton's got so much going on, but nothing should take center stage this week, aside from the Breeders' Cup, other than Fasig November, the night of the stars on Monday at Newtown Paddocks in Lexington. It's the center of the sale calendar. This is where even casual auction viewers definitely want to tune in to see all of those star-studded mares go through the ring. It's really great. Like they come out, they show like some of their replays from like Breeders' Cups, and just especially like for their like the really, really A-list ones, people give them a hand like when they leave the sales ring. It's just a great moment of reverence for the fillies and the mares mainly, who are some of the stars of our sport and who are about to go produce and carry on those bloodlines that really thrilled us on the racetrack. So Fasig-Tipton has had a phenomenal year and have set records left and right. And I just want to shout out everybody at the team at Fasig, because I know how hard they work and I know how good they work, how well they work together. We saw it firsthand at the Saratoga sale. And I know this is kind of like the year-end closer, the grand finale of the sale schedule, even though you do have the digital sale coming up. And I just want to give a tip of the hat to everybody and best of luck to the whole team at Fasig. Anybody buying, anybody selling. John, you're selling Vixen, right? We have Vixen in the sale, Joe, and that is kicking off the reduction for us. But Vixen, who was Grade 1 placed and a Grade 3 winner, made over $500,000 out of Vacoma's first crop, is going in there. And Joe, there's others that are in there. Puka is probably one of the most well-known mares that's going to be going in there as a producer of 3
different grade 1 winners. And then you have all these fillies coming off the racetrack. And all I can figure in my mind when I talk about the Night of the Stars is Anna Seitz's whiteboard. And just all of these, it used to be where it was horses that she wanted to have. Now she's got to actually break it up between grade 1 winners, grade 2 winners. I mean, that's how many top fillies they have coming off the racetrack, and they're going to be sold in that night. But for me, as a fan of the industry, I like to just sit there and watch all of these 7-figure mares go through the ring, and just, it reminds me of like what they did on the racetrack to earn a spot in the Night of the Stars.
So we're so thrilled to bring this next guest back to the Rail Talk studio. Friend of the show, bestie of the show, I would venture to say. He's the bloodstock manager for Arion Pedigrees, my guy, Andrew Stewart. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be back. Wonderful.
It's so great to have you. And we were doing some back and forth chop busting about sports that I think will fit into this interview somehow. But you're mainly here to talk about horses and the Breeders' Cup in particular. We'll get into the Melbourne Cup too in a little bit. First of all, go check out the Arion website right now if you haven't already. It's a great resource for pedigrees. The stallion roster is awesome. A ton of information for all these stallions for free. You don't have to actually pay to go check out some of the awesome info that Arion has. So you hear me plug it every week on the show, but especially this time of year, horses switching to turf and big sales going on. There's a lot of great info on Arion to help you with your handicap and your sales selection. All right, let's talk about the Euros on Friday. There's a couple of pretty short favorites in the Breeders' Cup Friday, Future Stars Friday. In the Juvenile Fillies Turf, you've got Precise, who drew all the way outside for Aidan O'Brien at 13 hole, but is 6-5. I mean, she's a multiple Group 1 winner. It seems reasonable. And then in the Juvie Turf, you got another one in Gestad, who was drawn all the way outside, 14 hole for Aidan O'Brien. Still 9-5 on the morning line. Andrew, which one of these, and you don't just have to just limit it to those two, but which one of these like short priced horses from Europe on Friday do you feel comfortable leaning into or betting against?
Well, I actually think Aidan O'Brien will probably win all three of the juvenile turf races. Precise note, she's a exceptional filly. She won the Fillies Mile at her last start. The Moyglare Stud Stakes at the Curragh the start before. She's won 4 from 5, and yeah, she's probably their best filly. In the turf sprint, True Love's probably their second best filly, and she won the Cheveley Park at Newmarket at her last start. So she's done nothing wrong as well. And you mentioned Gestad. He's been touched off in his last 3 starts, all at Group 1 level, drawn wide. And I think there's 3 locals in there that actually, might give him a run for his money. Argos won the group, the Grade 1 at Woodbine at his last start. Hey Nay Nay's unbeaten in 3. So, you can't cross him out. And Outfield is one that I think is interesting. He won an allowance at Keeneland at his last start, but he'd run 4th in a Group 1 at Deauville the start before in a very, very good field. So I think the juvenile turf is more open than the other two. The other two, I think the short price favourites are probably going to salute.
Yep. And Andrew, just a general question, just for our audience sake. The turf course at Del Mar is a fast, packed, usually speed favoring turf course. Are there certain racetracks, not even race horses, but are there certain tracks that kind of mimic that style, or is it, hey, whenever it rains, guys, it's buyer beware? But this horse, if it did get a fast strip over in Europe or points unknown, it should really enjoy being on the Del Mar turf.
Yeah, I think all the overseas horses, generally, they're used to running on firm tracks. The turf tracks in Europe, of course, are a lot different to your guys' tracks. Most of them are straight. A lot of these horses won't have run around a turn, so that could be something that might trip them up. But generally, I don't think the conditions will upset them too much.
Yeah, I mean, the turf is always a fascinating race. I love when you get these horses from the Arc who come over on like relatively short rest and run. And you got the favorite in this race, Mini Hawk, the 3-year-old filly by Frankel, was just a beaten favorite in the Arc by a head. Rebel's Romance, I think, we talked about him in Epic Performance a couple weeks ago. Like, he is just the coolest horse running, I think. Is there anybody that you think can pop up in the turf? Because just from a first glance, it looks like those two are kind of the class of the field.
They do. I'm really excited about this race, and being a turf aficionado, and I think it's full of quality. The two horses you mentioned, I love Minnie Hawk. She's a Jewel Oaks winner. I think that the soft track might have just touched her off in the Arc. Rebel's Romance, he's the defending champion. He won it back in 2022 as well, and he's won 20 from 29. And he's probably had more stamps in his passport than me. So, he's just a great horse. There's a Resolute Racing, John Stewart's Goliath. He won a Group 1 in Germany over 1.5 miles at his last start. And last year, when John Stewart bought him, his performance at Ascot was one of the highest rating race performances of the season. So, if he shows that form, he's got to be a chance. Wimbledon Hawkeye won the Nashville Derby pretty easily at his last start, and he's probably only the 5th or 6th best 3-year-old in Europe this year. But I think the American tracks suit him a lot better. There's an interesting runner in there, Ethical Diamond, trained by Willie Mullins, who's the champion jumps trainer in Ireland and the UK and has been for years and years. And Ethical Diamond won the Ebor at his last start at York, and that's normally a lead-in to the Melbourne Cup. But, he's decided to go to the Breeders' Cup. Ethical Diamond, 7 of his 14 starts have been over jumps. So he's a master trainer, Willie Mullins, so he can do anything. So, I wouldn't write him off.
Right. And then, Andrew, a race that I don't know if you know is near and dear to my heart, and that would be the Distaff this year.
Of course.
For whatever reason.
Of course, yep. Yes.
There's a couple of international runners. One is Sarawak Rim coming in from Argentina. 4 wins of 5 starts, first-time blinkers, and is going to be in the stall right next to us. And then the other is Alice Verite, who is the Japanese mare, who has only run once on the dirt and finished a 4th place in last year's Distaff. What should we expect from those two horses in the Distaff?
Well, Argentinian form. Those Argentinian horses always seem to improve when they come north, and I think we tend to underrate South American form a little bit as well. So, I certainly wouldn't write her off. The Japanese filly, the form doesn't impress me. In fact, outside of Forever Young, the Japanese horses overall don't really. I don't think they're of the highest standard or standard that they've been in previous years. Outside of Forever Young, I don't think there's one that'll actually feature in any of the races.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just form wise, and I can only read form wise, and that's the way it looks to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, what would be cool is if obviously we're rooting for Nitrogen in that race, but if Sarawak Rim did win, that's Nacho Correa's last ever starter.
Yeah. Oh wow,
and he's been one of the most underrated trainers in America for like as long as he's been going. Yeah. Like Andrew mentioned, he excels with taking those South American imports and bringing them up to the States and winning big races. I remember Blue Prize when she won Distaff a handful of years back. Yep. So shout out to Nacho Correa. So if Nitrogen doesn't win, I hope that horse wins. Let's go to the mile real quick, and then we'll start talking a little bit about the Melbourne Cup. We've got a pretty wide open race, I would say. Yeah. Notable Speech is the favorite, lukewarm favorite. He doesn't blow me away. Charlie Appleby's horses obviously are always going to get bet. They haven't won at the insane clip in America as they once did, but man, it looks like there's a lot of horses that could contend. You got the proving 3-year-old just to his outside, and Salon, who just came and won the Prix de Moulin at 14-1. Lion Winter. Where do you lean here in the mile, Andrew?
I actually think this one could go to the locals. I've sort of been really impressed by Rhetorical. It was a really impressive run at Keeneland in the Turf Mile. Formidable Man has done nothing wrong all year. You're right about the Euros. Notable Speech won the Grade 1 at Woodbine last start, but in Europe this year, he's sort of just been around the placings. He's run thirds and fourths and fifths. Solan, of course, did win the Group 1 at Longshot, but it was a bit of a surprise. The Lion in Winter was labelled by Coolmore at the end of last year. He was going to be their best 3-year-old, and he's been really, really disappointing. He probably went his best race last start at Ascot, running second in the mile, only a week ago or something, or 2 weeks ago. The Japanese horse I quite like. That is one Japanese horse I think is a bit of a show. It won a Grade 3 last time. And there's a South African bred horse in there, One Stripe, who's only had the one start in North America. She's a dual Grade 1 winner in South Africa, ran 5th in the Woodbine Mile at her first start. She could be one that will improve on that run, but I think it is really open. And as I say, I think this could be one of the turf races that definitely go to the locals.
Yeah. Well, you got One Stripe in there right now at the morning line odds of 30-1. So that would be quite an upset.
I think she could run a lot better than those odds.
Yeah. Yep. And Andrew, thoughts on halfback option?
Halfback option.
Never heard?
No.
Neither did Cincinnati Bengals in the last game.
Boom!
Oh, sorry, buddy. I had to set you up for that one. I'm sorry.
Count it. That was excellent.
The Mets are playing who this week?
Touche, my friend. Touche.
That was terrific, John.
Listen, when Joe Burrow went down, the season was over.
Yeah.
Yes,
no, we get it. We feel the same way with Neighbors and Scatterbo and Joe at the national anthem of the first game. So
exactly.
It's all part. Let's talk a little bit about the Melbourne Cup.
Sure.
Something I know nothing about. So educate me on not only what I should expect, but who I should look for.
Yeah, the Melbourne Cup was first run in 1861. So it's been going and it's been run every year since then. It's the race that stops the nation, I guess, similar to the Derby there. It's run on the first Tuesday in November all the time, and it's run over 2 miles. It's a handicap. It's had a checkered history in terms of quality of field, but in recent years there have been quite a number of either Euro runners or imports that have come down, and I think it's improved the quality of the field. And but for whatever reason, it's the race that captures the imagination down this way. It's a great carnival at Flemington in Melbourne. They run for 4 days. Derby Day is this weekend. They've got 3 Group 1s, including the Derby, over 12.5 furlongs. There's a 6 furlong Group 1 for 3-year-olds. And there's a Fillies and Mares Mile for also a Group 1. Melbourne Cup's on the Tuesday, and the Oaks is run 2 days later, and then on the following Saturday they have 3 Group 1 races. So it's a great carnival, and there'll be 100,000 people there on Melbourne Cup Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to go experience it someday soon. Just like you say, there's no other race in the world quite like it.
It's a huge event. I mean, the Everest has sort of really captured the public's imagination here recently, and the course sells out, and it's a huge event. But there's nothing like the Melbourne Cup. I've been lucky enough to go to 4 or 5 Melbourne Cups, and it's just there's a lot of people there, and you don't see a lot. But just the fact that you're there and you're experiencing something like that is it's like probably like going to Saratoga on steroids.
Right.
Yeah, I imagine.
That's great.
And I know several trainers who have had horses go to Saratoga on steroids. But anyway, they're not training anymore. I don't think, at least. But so it's just in terms of the race itself. First of all, how many horses? Is it 20?
24.
20-ish?
24. Yep.
And then who are like some of the main contenders in this year's renewal?
Well, of course, there's the first time ever US trained Parchment Party, trained by Bill Mott, owned by the Bernard family's Pin Oak stud, and Parchment Party won the Belmont Gold Cup
Off the turf.
Off the turf. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But has since won on the turf at Saratoga, won the Birdstone. Both of them, I think, 1 mile and 3/4. So, the horse is going to have to get used to having 23 other horses around it. The way the races run will be completely the opposite. The last mile is always the fastest mile. The last half of races are always the fastest part of races here and down this way, where it's the opposite up there, I guess. Last year's winner was 100-1, so anything can win. Wow. So, outside of Parchment Party, the horse that won the normal lead up, the Caulfield Cup, over 1.5 miles 2 weeks ago, a horse called Half Hours is probably going to run the favourite. There's a horse from the UK, El Rifa, who will be one of the favoured horses. But it's a fairly open field. But as I say, Parchment Party is the first US trained winner. There have been 5 US bred winners, including a son of Secretariat, a son of Roberto, a son of Theatrical. The last one to win was Americane, who was by Dynaformer in 2010. So there have been US bred winners, but this will be the first US trained runner.
Wow. So that's great info. The likes of which you can find on the Arion Pedigrees website, arion.co.nz. It's an invaluable resource for all your pedigree and sales research. And the bloodstock manager at Arion, Andrew Stewart, joins us again to get us schooled on the Breeders' Cup and the Melbourne Cup. Thanks, bud.
Not a problem at all.
Rail Talk is sponsored by Epic Insurance Brokers, one of the nation's top retail insurance brokers, providing expertise across key lines of insurance like property and casualty, employee benefits, and unique specialty insurance. Our buddy Chris Moore leads Epic's equine specialty practice. And a little behind the curtain here, he's already hitting John up about policies if nitrogen wins. And John, like a true weathered, cynical racing veteran, was like, you better not send me those before the race.
Don't jinx.
Send those to the trash bin of hell until she actually wins. But the point is, that's how thorough Chris and the team at Epic are, that they're thinking of every scenario 2 steps ahead for their customers, and they'll do the same for you. This yearling season's wrapping up. It's like the last couple of weeks of yearling sales. If you buy yearlings, have a nice group of horses, and did not review the ins and outs of your insurance program, fix it ASAP. Give Chris a call. Shoot him a text. Just start a conversation, because Chris is a great guy just to hang with. Yep. And the potential professional and financial benefits are just the added benefit, the added cherry on top. So shout out to Chris and the whole team at Epic Insurance Brokers. 317-650-4519 is the number to get in touch with Chris. And we'll see you at the races and the sales soon, my guy. And that leads us. Yeah.
No, I was going to say he'll be at the November sale, because he's selling his big filly in the Keeneland November sale. So he is going to be there on site, on campus, ready to talk to you about what your insurance needs could be.
Best of luck to Chris. And that's, like I said, go meet him at the sale. You won't regret it. He'll help you out, and he's a good hang. That leads us to this week's
Epic Performance of the Week.
We wanted to do this last week, but we wanted to wait to celebrate this horse until our man Andrew Stewart was here on the show. You obviously know he's our favorite Kiwi. He keeps us informed, especially on racing in those parts of the world. So I'll let him do the honors for this week's sort of Epic Performance of the Week. Who is it, Andrew?
Of course, it's Kaying Rising's Epic Performance of the Week.
Yes.
He's an interesting horse. He comes off a $4,000 service fee. He didn't sell at a yearling sale. He won a trial and was sold off that trial performance. Here they're a big and useful tool for getting horses ready for racing. He was sold to David Hayes, or the Hayes stable, Lindsay Park stable. David Hayes is one of the best trainers that's ever been produced, and that's come from Australia. He now trains in Hong Kong. The horse, he's got 3 sons who train in Victoria. They had the horse there, and the horse horse was performing so well. They rang their father and said, this horse will suit Hong Kong down to the ground. And so he went up to Hong Kong. He was beaten at his first 2 starts, and he's been unbeaten since. And he's just, you'll see, he's epic.
Yeah, that's right. Epic performance of the sort of week. Kaiying Rising, well deserved. Well explained.
Thank you.
All right, so that's going to do it for episode 111 of Rail Talk. So it is Breeders' Cup week. I'm flying out tomorrow morning. First thing, got the juices flowing, got the buzz, a natural buzz this time, leading into the Breeders' Cup, and just can't wait to see everybody out there. John and Len will do their little parachuting in thing Friday and Saturday. Hopefully we can link up. But if you're going, if you're betting, if you're watching, hope you just have an amazing time. Best of luck. And just enjoy it. These are 2 of the best days in our sport where the stars really get to shine. We're blessed to be part of it, and we're obviously blessed to have you and the entire Rail Talk family following along. We'll see you next week back here on Rail Talk.